My toxic coworker ruined my life, then needed a favor. The day Kingston betrayed me, the heat wasn't just in the air, it was in my veins. A betrayal so scalding, so unexpected, it left me reeling. For grueling years, I'd clawed my way up the ladder at one of New Kingston's top marketing firms. Blood, sweat, tears, early mornings, late nights, and weekends sacrificed at the altar of ambition. All of it meant absolutely nothing when Dwayne, my so-called friend and coworker, plunged a knife into my back and twisted. He lied. He schemed. He got me fired. The memory is etched into my mind, walking into the office that morning, coffee in hand, oblivious to the storm brewing. Then, the summons HR. A serious discussion, Ms. Thompson's grim face foreshadowed the nightmare about to unfold. We have evidence, she stated, her voice cold, that you've been leaking company data. Me? Leaking data? I scoffed internally, utterly bewildered. But there it was, my name plastered all over fabricated email chains, meticulously crafted to paint me as a corporate traitor. It was Dwayne's handiwork, I knew it instantly. That snake. He forged the evidence, forwarded it to management, and played the role of the concerned, loyal employee, all to climb over my broken body. He'd always been ambitious, hungry for that promotion, desperate to eliminate the competition. And I, foolishly, had considered him a friend, sharing jokes, grabbing drinks after work, trusting him with my guard down. I fought tooth and nail, denied every accusation with the fire of righteous indignation. But the evidence, however manufactured, was damning. Within 2 weeks, I was escorted out of the building, branded a criminal, my career in tatters. As I packed my life into a cardboard box, I saw him. Dwayne, watching from his desk, a pathetic mask of pity plastered on his face. I hope things work out for you, he murmured, his voice dripping with insincerity. I didn't dignify him with a response. My eyes burned into his soul, a silent promise of retribution. I may have lost my job that day, but he lost something far more valuable, my respect, and soon, much more. The loss of my job wasn't just a financial blow, it was a public execution. In a place like Kingston, where everyone knows everyone, word spread like wildfire. Some whispered behind my back, believing the company's fabricated narrative, branding me a sellout. Others, those who knew me better, offered hollow condolences. Sorry about that, boss, their words doing little to ease the burning humiliation. But nobody could undo the damage. Nobody could erase the stain. I had bills to pay, a mother in Portmore depending on me. Job applications became an exercise in futility. The words terminated from previous position, a scarlet letter branding me unfit for employment. Trying to find work felt like swimming with concrete shoes. Then I saw at Dwayne's LinkedIn profile, flaunting my old position, his updated job title shimmering with artificial success. A nauseatingly saccharine post about hard work and commitment to growth made my stomach churn. I tried to move on, taking freelance gigs, anything to survive, even a stint with a tourist agency in Montego Bay. But it wasn't the same. Months crawled by, and then, finally, I heard the first crack in Dwayne's carefully constructed facade. Lisa, a former coworker, messaged me out of the blue. Yo, you hear what's going on at the office? I'd stopped keeping tabs, but Lisa's message piqued my interest. How bad? I replied, already savoring the potential schadenfreude. Clients don't respect him, she wrote, adding that the company was a mess. But that wasn't enough. Not nearly enough. Then came the real news a few weeks later. The company announced budget cuts. Dwayne, meet poetic justice. Close, but not close enough. 1 year to the day after his betrayal, Dwayne was jobless. And that's when he made the single biggest mistake of his miserable life. He reached out. Dwayne's message landed on my phone like a venomous snake, a sick joke manifested in digital form. Yo, long time. How you been? I stared at it, the sheer audacity stealing my breath. The man who had systematically destroyed my career now had the gall to ask about me. I didn't respond immediately. I needed to savor the moment, to let the full weight of his desperation sink in. I needed something, I finally typed, keeping my voice neutral, detached. Dwayne, listen. He began, the pathetic plea barely concealed. Bro, I won't even lie. He was groveling. Dwayne, you know anybody hiring? That was all I needed to see. The tables had turned. The blue light illuminated my name on his screen, signaling that I was reading his desperate plea. He had taken my job, sat back while I struggled, and now, he needed my help. Not a chance. I let him stew for a few agonizing hours before responding. Tough out here still, I typed, feigning empathy. What happened to your job? I already knew, of course. I wanted to hear him choke on the words, to confess his own incompetence. Company had layoffs, he finally admitted, shame barely masking his resentment. But I'm really looking for a fresh start, you know. We were friends, right? The audacity. He actually thought we were friends after what he did. I thought about the sleepless nights, the gnawing anxiety over bills, the pitying glances, the memory of him watching me leave the company he'd stolen, and then his final and stupid question. You know any openings? No, my friend. You're not getting a lifeline. I cracked my fingers, took a deep breath, and prepared to play my role. The revenge was coming. Slow and sweet and oh so satisfying. I could have ignored him, blocked his number, let him drown in his own failures. But that would have been far too merciful. No, I wanted him to feel it, to experience the same gut-wrenching humiliation, the same soul-crushing despair that he had inflicted on me. I wanted him to understand the weight of unemployment, the indignity of begging for help from the very person he had wronged. Yeah man, we were friends, I typed, my fingers dancing across the keyboard as I spun my web. No hard feelings. Dwayne was the type to rewrite history, to convince himself that time erased sins, that I'd somehow forgotten his treachery. Dwayne, respect, bro. I knew you wouldn't hold it against me. So, you know any openings, marketing, advertising? What a masterpiece of irony. I had rebuilt myself. I was now consulting for a major agency in Montego Bay, handling social media for high-end resorts and major brands. Dwayne had absolutely no idea. Time to make my next move. A couple of places looking for a marketing manager, I wrote, dangling the bait. I can put in a good word for you. His response was immediate, pathetic in its eagerness. For real, that would mean everything. I'd owe you big time, boss. You know I always rated you. This man ruined me, left me for dead, and now he expected me to rate him. I almost laughed, but I wasn't done yet. I strung him along, playing the benevolent benefactor. I asked for his updated resume, scrutinized every line, every word. I gave him false hope, making him believe he was one step away from landing a job. I even set up a mock interview over Zoom, pretending to help him prepare. I recorded everything. Every time he fumbled an answer, every time he sounded clueless, I made meticulous notes, exposing his incompetence, his lack of knowledge, the sheer hollowness of his professional persona. All right, I'll reach out to my contact, I said, my voice dripping with false sincerity. But if they ask about your last job, just tell them you left on good terms. I smirked at my screen. Me, I'd hate to lie on your behalf. Silence. Then, after a long, pregnant pause, meaning, people hiring won't know, right? He was terrified. Can't lie to you, boss, he whimpered, finally realizing the game I was playing. You know exactly what I was doing. And that's when the panic set in. The silence stretched between us, thick with the weight of understanding. Dwayne knew. He knew I wasn't there to help him. I was there to make him feel every ounce of the betrayal he had inflicted upon me. Finally, his message came through. One word, liar. He understood perfectly. Got me fired, took my position, now you need my help. I imagined him on the other end of the phone, his face contorted with rage and desperation, his ego shattered. We never mean it like that, man, he typed, weakly trying to salvage the situation. Happy looking out for myself, you know how the system stay. I almost vomited. The system, he used the system, manipulated it, to destroy me. Me, the system, you never know these days. The system might force you fire fake email. I could feel his desperation bleeding through the screen, his career slipping through his fingers like sand. Book me a bag, he pleaded. We really need this. He was begging. The same man who smirked while I packed my things a year ago was now groveling for my mercy. I wasn't done yet. Me, when I needed help, where were you? Nothing. Just the deafening silence of his guilt. Me, man, I glad you finally let me not go live fire. He was scrambling, grasping at straws. He started typing, then stopped. You're not helping, he finally accused, his voice laced with bitterness. That's when I twisted the knife. Oh, I'm helping, I replied, savoring the moment. I'm helping every potential employer know the truth about you. That was the final straw. Dwayne, you're a real grimy, he spat, his mask of civility shattered. Dwayne, we didn't think we could have just moved past it, the sheer audacity. What I'm saying that, I mocked, mirroring his own callous disregard. Let him fully grasp what it felt like to be discarded, to be deemed unworthy, to be left to rot in the professional wilderness. And that was just the beginning of his downfall. He must have thought I was bluffing, that I wouldn't actually follow through. He was dead wrong. I didn't just refuse to help him. I made sure that no one else would either. The marketing industry in Jamaica is small, a tight-knit community where reputations are everything. And Dwayne's reputation, thanks to me, was about to take a nosedive. First, I reached out to Lisa, the coworker who had messaged me months ago about Dwayne's struggles at the company. She was now working for a big-name agency in Kingston. Me, guess who just begged me for a job hookup? Lisa. Don't tell me it's Dwayne. She sent a string of laughing emojis before dropping a bomb. Him don't even have a job, that was all I needed to hear. Dwayne was already struggling to find work, and I was about to make it exponentially harder. I made a few calls to old connections, casually slipping his name into conversation. Yeah, I'd be careful with that Dwayne character, I'd say, my voice dripping with faux concern. Not the most reliable guy. Don't take my word for it, though. Just do your due diligence. I never lied. I didn't have to. I just let the truth do the damage. And it worked. A week later, Dwayne messaged me again. Yo, fam, no wagwan. He was desperate, his carefully constructed facade crumbling. You keep ignoring me, he whined. I feel like I'm getting blackballed. I smiled at my screen, savoring his misery. That's rough, I replied, pretending to sympathize. You sure you're not telling nobody nothing? He was panicking, realizing the extent of my reach, the power I now wielded over his fate. Dwayne wasn't just jobless, he was becoming unemployable. And in our industry, that was a death sentence. Do you want to move past what he did? No, I wanted him to sit in it forever. Then came the icing on the cake. One night, I was scrolling through LinkedIn when I saw something that made me laugh out loud. Dwayne had listed himself as a freelance marketing consultant. But instead of admitting he was unemployed, he was out here pretending to be a big-time consultant, touting his expertise and proven track record. Desperation looks bad on everyone, but it looked especially pathetic on Dwayne. That's when I got an idea. A brilliant, diabolically satisfying idea. I created a fake email account, using a random business name. Then, I reached out to Dwayne, posing as a potential client. Fake email. We're looking for a consultant to help with our digital branding. Saw your profile and would love to discuss rates and strategy. Can you send over some references and client testimonials? Dwayne replied within the hour, his eagerness practically jumping off the screen. Hi, thanks for reaching out. I've worked with top brands like insert the company he got fired from, rolling on the floor laughing and can definitely assist. Let's set up a meeting. The man was so desperate. He was still claiming work from the same place that had kicked him to the curb. I kept the game going, feigning interest, asking for client testimonials, dodging requests for references, trying to sound professional. Then, I dropped the bomb. Fake email. Best of luck with your search. Less than 5 minutes later, my real phone buzzed incessantly. Dwayne, yeah, me feel like somebody is trying to sabotage me. I simply replied, it probably is. That was the last time I ever heard from Dwayne. He had become exactly what he had made me, a man with no opportunities, no credibility, and no future in the industry. I didn't need to do anything illegal. Karma did all the work for me. I was just there to enjoy the show. With Dwayne officially out of my life, out of the industry, and out of my thoughts, I could finally breathe again. No more looking over my shoulder. No more bitterness eating away at my soul. My freelance work blossomed, turning into something bigger, something better than I could have ever imagined. What started as small contracts had grown into a full-fledged business. I wasn't just some struggling marketing consultant anymore. I was running my own successful company. One of my biggest clients was, ironically, a company Dwayne had once tried to apply to. One day, while reviewing applications for a new hire, a familiar name popped up in my inbox. Dwayne. I stared at it for a long moment, just letting the full circle moment sink in. A year ago, I was the one begging for a chance, knocking on doors that wouldn't open. Now, I was the one holding the keys, the gatekeeper of his professional destiny. I could have entertained the idea, let him embarrass himself in an interview, revel in his desperation. But I didn't need to. No message, no explanation, just silence. Because sometimes, the best revenge is knowing they'll never get back what they lost. I had everything I ever needed, and he had nothing. Looking back on it, I'm left wondering if I went too far. Did I let my anger consume me? Did I take it too far, or did Dwayne simply reap what he sowed? What do you think? Was I justified in my actions, or should I have taken the high road and simply moved on? I'm interested to hear your honest opinions, so please share your thoughts. I'm ready for whatever you have to say about how I handled this complex and deeply personal situation.